hello, and welcome back to yes, your favorite podcast, The Lack of Interesting Conversation with me, your host, Trey Mendenhall. I just want to welcome you back, as obviously this is going up a little late. It's been kind of crazy week so far. My wife and I's children started sports this week with our youngest starting football this week. His first time ever playing the sport. Um, it's pretty exciting stuff. I'm pretty fortunate, blessed to be honest. I get to help coach him, as I know that's something he's looked forward to for a while. I have two, and I know I guess technically Jonah, who's been our most frequent guest on here, I guess he's had open field this past week, but next week's his official start date for uh, soccer, which is pretty exciting. Our oldest, um, Xander, he has been going doing football most of the summer, and this week obviously 2 days is kicking it up. So any of you know 2 days, and you remember 2 days, how much those were not fun. If you're new, just go and check out the previous episodes of the podcast. I really appreciate it. Just please make sure you leave a like anywhere. We like, comment, subscribe on YouTube to our podcast channel on there, the exclusive home of the video version of this podcast. Also, please share. Give us a like on Facebook at the Lack of Interesting Conversation. Follow me on TikTok and Tin- TikTok at Trey underscore Mendenhall and Instagram at Trey Mendenhall. I really honestly have had trouble. I don't think I'm going to be able to um, change my TikTok handle, but anyway, it's fine. Um, just go ahead and do that. It's where I release clips, and this is um, going to be a little bit more sporadic anyway. Releases. I'll try to get back on track here. But with as busy as this past week it's been a little hard. So, but anyway, as you can tell by the title, we were actually going back to the movies for a second week in a row here. But it would just be me this time. This yesterday, Friday, was the um, worldwide premiere date of Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Uh, the fourth Spider-Man movie in the MCU's version of the web slinger, and the 38th overall MCU film. I believe. Let's see. Um, I think this is the eighth. Um, no, the ninth overall live-action Spider-Man movie because you get the first three Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Man, you get Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 and 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, then The Amazing Spider-Man 2, then Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, ninth. Yeah, I was right. This is Brand New Day. Pretty much picking up. Let me go ahead and warn you. Yes, there will be spoilers here. So we're pretty much picking up where we left off at the end of No Way Home. Uh, except there's a little montage here at the beginning of the film uh, of Peter basically showing Peter uh, doing his Spider Man things, going around town stopping crimes. Um, not although it does in the movie, it does not show how Peter's making money, but somehow he clearly has money. I don't know, but just going around, and then by the time that montage ends, you realize technically 4 years have passed because MJ and Ned are both seniors now at Empire State, I think, NIU or wherever it is they went to school. Let me double check here. Oh, um, yeah, MIT. Excuse me. They went to MIT. Um, and they're in Boston, I believe. And They went to they got accepted to MIT at the in No Way Home. But uh, but pretty much this Peter, even though he still has a hold of the note that he wrote at the end of No Way Home when he went into the coffee shop where MJ worked and Ned was there, um, talking to MJ since they were still friends. Uh, they um, Peter continuously just holds on to that note and doesn't uh, tell MJ. like it, at this point, since they're 4 years in, it feels like he's never going to tell her, never going to let her know, even though he promised her he would do so right before Doctor Strange did place that spell where everyone would forget who Peter is. And at the end of No Way Home. Um, but the um, but picking up from there, I know Spider-Man ends up getting the key to the city. The NYPD is very thankful for his help. He's honestly very very close with the um, police, the commissioner of the police department. I'm not exactly what her name is. Hold on. Uh, Peter's close with Detective Jean DeWolf, who was actually in the comics, uh, as a character from the comics in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man comics, and she first appeared in Marvel Team Up 48, which was released in August 1976, which happened to be a team up comic book featuring Spider-Man and the Human Torch. As many of you know, Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four have had team ups in the comics, let alone heck, Spider-Man has his own suit, Fantastic Four suit, in the Insomniac video games, which a lot of the um, I guess uh, action fight scenes of Spider-Man just swinging in, stopping random crimes as he gets crime alerts on his phone. Honestly, a lot of that reminded me of the last three Spider-Man games that we got: Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Man 2, and Miles Morales. Which I love those games. I think those games are great, and those are the only three games I have ever 100% in my entire gaming existence, which is fun. Um, to be honest, it's and but overall, I guess a lot of the trailers, I guess, are kind of misleading. They make you think um, that maybe like Scorpio and um, the ninjas and stuff make it play like they're really have a bigger influence in the movie than they actually do. Um, the way they use Hulk, I think, is pretty good. To be honest, it helps kind of with Peter's his body, his spider, uh, the spider side of his DNA. I can't, I'm blanking on what they actually call it in the movie, but it seems to be evolving and growing. Um, which ends up how he ends up with organic web shooters like Peter Two, aka Toby Maguire, um, in in the movie, and then I know he kind of ends up with um, Bruce Banner being a teacher at Empire State uh, University and having like as it is in the trailer like this can't remember some kind of adapter that he wears that helps prevent him from raging when he gets angry and turning into the Hulk. But that kind of helps set up the what a way for Peter to kind of stop all the side effects of what he is dealing with this mutation of his body. And then uh, uh, later on, I guess, and he ends up MJ actually ends up figuring out when after Peter tell tells her, and this is in the trailer too, that she needs to come with him because she's going to be in trouble. But then, base in trouble, she kind of ends up using her smart, uh, I guess, using her uh, smartness or whatever you want to say, her brains down, helping Peter being able to um, actually get that to actually work and stop it from constantly, I guess, not working and interfering, which I thought played off really well. It was kind of with this going on in Peter. I thought the way they kind of played it out is kind of like a maybe like a new version of his origin story a little bit that kind of played out like that um because like if you've seen the original Spider-Man movie released in 2002, they kind of like after Peter got bit, he was going around, he ended up passing out, then trying to put on his glasses, realized he didn't need them anymore. He could finally see 20/20 vision, that his muscles, that his body went through changes, muscles and stuff like that, has biceps and all that stuff now, basically. Uh, this kind of stuff like that, and just realizing like the changes that his body was going through. And I thought that they played that off very well in this movie. I know Sadie Sink, um, but before we go to her, you have the Punisher in here, which I think he worked real honestly worked well. Peter, it's kind of um, Peter's, I guess his, I guess um, everyday guy, I guess, bouncing off the Punisher's raw, uh, hard, hard and emotional guy, kind of. I just the way they bounced off each other, I thought worked. I thought they were great. Even that, not to mention that it's been a great couple weeks, not only just for Tom Holland and John Berthal who played Punisher, but for MJ, Tom Holland's wife Zendaya with the Odyssey releasing 2 weeks ago, and now Spider Man. Pretty incredible to be honest. Uh, Incredible run they have so far this year with Zendaya possibly being able to uh, be in $3 billion movies by what probably by mid January they should know with Dune 3 if that makes $1 billion. Uh, she's in all three of those movies, which would be great. And then Robert Pattinson technically he would be in $2 billion films, just like Tom Holland and John Berthal as well. Uh, then um, um, Black Widow's sister. I can't remember how you actually pronounce her name, to be honest. Uh, but um, she's in this movie. I don't know if they're going to build her out to be like I don't know, making like a cameo in these MCU films. Like they had like Nick Fury in the original Phase One of uh, the MCU, stuff like that. But obviously, there's always going to be something to tie these movies in together. Uh, and with these movies, Elena, yes, that's her name. Elena is her name. Florence Pugh, Black Widow, Nata- Natasha slash Scarlett Johansson's sister that we were introduced to in the Black Widow solo movie. She's in this movie. She kind of helps Peter as well. Um, which sets up the organization called um, Damage Control, which is kind of comes off like, hey, they're here to help uh, things, but ultimately, which I kind of figured out here because I went to see this with Jonah. I went to see it with Joshua, my youngest, and my nephew Caleb, which they all enjoyed this very much. Then I kind of floated out that they would end up being the bad guy, which ultimately they end up really being the main bad guy of this film. Uh, And then um, with the way they used Hulk in this movie, I thought was great because it also ties into Sadie Sink's character, who ultimately end up being who we thought would be. They were who we thought they were. Dennis Green, if you know, the former uh, Arizona Cardinal slash Minnesota Viking head coach, rest in peace. If you know, you know. Uh, she ends up being Jean Grey, basically. Uh, the very first character, X Men character to be introduced into um, into the MCU, outside of obviously the Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, and like Professor X and all of them. But that and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. But that was technically in another universe. But in the Earth that we're on here in the MCU that we've been on for the past almost 20 years, in 2 years will be 20 years since Iron Man 1 came out, uh, which is crazy. 20 years has flown by already. Uh, but she's really the first and X Men mutant that we are introduced to. I think, I guess, kind of interesting way they kind of decided to introduce the X Men into the MCU through Spider Man. But personally, I think this works perfectly. I think it's the way uh, kind of sets uh, the whole, I guess, movie up when Peter first meets her, that she's jumping from person to person, kind of confusing Peter, and that she's kind of by the end of the movie kind of showing that her and Peter both uh that she kind of shows Peter, like, even though he's going through these changes, he's wearing puts this like whatever you want to call it, like this thing that helps suppress the spider uh DNA from growing out of control, like overtaking his body, where he's so has so sensory overload. Kind of helps him embrace it. Just like I know uh, Peter also helps Jean realize that um, what she's doing, and why she's wanting to take revenge on damage control, because what they did to her sister Sarah Gray is ultimately wrong, and that she is loved despite um, her parents wanting to, basically her parents giving her and her sister away once they end up developing their powers, which is kind of fits in with the X Men, that they end up being like outcasts and stuff by society and stuff like that. But ultimately, that it's okay, which kind of brings them, and they kind of share that bond. Uh, but ultimately, this is, um, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to beat No Way Home when you have all three Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, every Spider-Man that you has every actor that's played Spider-Man in on the film in one movie, which is pretty incredible that you can do that now. Uh, uh, that's still probably my favorite of the MCU Spider-Man movies, but this one's up there. I really, I know I just saw it yet. We just saw it yesterday. I don't know if uh, where I'd necessarily would rank this. This might be number two. Um, I know this ranks up pretty high on my boys' list in terms of their favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. Although I know Joshua, our youngest boy, sorry, is a pretty huge Miles Morales fan. He loves the Spider-Verse movies. Was the third one actually coming out next year? Looking forward to that. Personally, what made me, honestly, I guess, fall in love with the Miles Morales character is the video game of Miles Morales. I absolutely love that game. If you haven't had a chance to play these Insomniac Spider-Man games and you have a PlayStation 5, um, I think they're all on PC as well. If you have a PlayStation 5 or a PC, I would go ahead and check those games out. I don't think you'll regret it, to be honest. Uh, but They're some of my favorite video games of all time. Uh, and then ultimately, I would say this is a give this a thumbs up. Definitely not a new move. I would go see this movie in the theater, which ironically a lot of people are. As Amazon, they also did a first fans first screening. I think that's what it's called. Like they did with Superman last year, which I did actually go to that one. I did go to the Superman Amazon screening. Uh, so I didn't get to go to this one as by the time I actually checked for tickets, it was already sold out, which I was kind of happy I didn't go, especially since I got to experience this with my children and my nephew. It was pretty great, to be honest. Um, I br- that was just super fun getting to watch this Spider-Man, some a character that I grew up on that was my favorite superhero hero around my our youngest boy's age. Before it shifted into the Batman, who is my favorite now. Uh, but uh, but obviously Spider-Man here, brand new day, breaking all kinds of records. What the Wednesday was this past Wednesday, July 29th, was the Amazon first screenings, and Thursday is your regular, I guess, like preview day or what used to be midnight screenings back in the day. Many of you may, any of you listening may be too young for that. Some of you that are a little around my age or a little older, or maybe just like a couple years younger, may remember midnight screenings. But those they brought in a total of $72 million, which broke the preview day record that Endgame held at 60 million. So it made pulled in 12 million more than Endgame, which both happen to be Marvel properties, Marvel Studios, but Sony happens to be involved here with Spider-Man since they technically own the film rights of the Spider-Man and the Spider-Man characters, although they made that deal with Marvel uh, after the debacle that was the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um, then uh, ultimately, yesterday, Friday, it brought in $168 million, which is the largest opening day in U.S. film history, beating Endgame's. What did Endgame make on opening day back in 2019? It's crazy, uh, but we'll see. Uh, uh, but anyway, um, that is the largest day. I don't exactly remember what Endgame made opening day. Uh, hold on. Let's see. Um, 157.4 is what Endgame made opening day, which it broke that, made over 10, 12 again, um, over 2 million more on opening day. It'll be interesting to see what it pulls in today, as I know original projections for total opening weekend was like 800 million, which would be uh, still shy of the record because Endgame holds that. They made for its opening weekend, it was an instant $1 billion hit, $1.2 billion that Endgame pulled in. Then uh, opening for the total opening weekend, Endgame made 357, but Sony is projecting this opening weekend to be around 325 million, which is insane. As I just said, it would make it the second largest opening weekend in movie history, only behind Avengers Endgame, which is crazy to be honest. But it honestly it deserves all the money it's making. It's a great film. Obviously, it's getting pulling in the family audience as a lot of kids love Spider-Man, my son included, and my nephew. I know my nephew Aiden does too. Uh, but um, I know he's a big Miles Morales fan though too. So but hopefully you guys go see it. I don't know. But anyway, I'd love to hear what your thoughts were of Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Did you like it? What do you think? Um, Also, I know the way they did it use Hulk in the movie, what I thought was really good, worked really well. He just wasn't in there to be someone that Spider-Man got to beat up and show like Hulk is like this weak character or anything like that. They put as he would say in wrestling, they put Hulk over. That he is the menace that he always should be. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Hulk character going forward. I don't think he's in Doomsday, but that's the next Marvel film up on the docket, in which they may have teased at the end of Brand New Day at the post credit because there was a spider tracker popped up, then said a new Spider-Man location was available, which was in space. So it could be something that's setting up Doomsday, Battle World, which is Secret Wars, I believe. It could be setting up another Spider-Man in Doomsday, which is technically a spoiler based on the rumored plot leaks that showed up on the internet, which, in my opinion, the very first poster of Doomsday that they released before the Comic Con with the trailer, pretty much, in my opinion, confirmed that all those leaks were true. Or it could be Venom. Maybe they're teasing Venom since Venom is technically from an alien planet. So, but it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Just let me know what you think of Spider-Man if you got to see it this weekend. If you didn't, let me know if you even plan on going to see it. It's a fun time um, to go see it. But then before we end today, SummerSlam, WWE's hottest show of the summer, is tonight, kicking off at 6 o'clock. I believe. I believe the pre-show is actually going on right now, as this is 3:27 when I'm recording this. So I'm going to try and get this uploaded as fast as I can and ready for SummerSlam tonight. Which now, if you have YouTube TV, yes, finally, if you have YouTube TV, you now have access to ESPN Unlimited, which WWE PLEs have been on since last year's WrestlePalooza, which took place in Indianapolis in September, I believe, because the Clash in Paris was the last PLE on Peacock um, before they moved it all over to the ESPN, which technically this ESPN deal wasn't supposed to start until like January this year, but they moved it up. So that's why that kind of ended and shifted and everything. Now I don't think even anything related to WWE's on Peacock anymore, besides maybe SmackDown. But most of the library and stuff hasn't been moved to Netflix, which makes sense. So I was kind of shocked when they announced the ESPN deal for PLEs instead of Netflix, since Netflix is their international home for PLEs. But anyway, I would just go down through the list of matches. It's a two-night event. This is the second uh, SummerSlam to have two nights last year was at MetLife, and then I actually hold on for a second. Let me get something out here. All right, I'm back. Sorry, but originally, as I said, last year was the first night, two night. So the last one night SummerSlam was in Cleveland, which I actually got to go to, which is pretty cool because I got an awesome wife. Uh, but before that, I actually went up there. She actually got me tickets to this when Undertaker did the One Dead Man show. Unfortunately, I never got to see him wrestle, but that's just pictures and stuff. Um, and that program, unfortunately, I never got to see him wrestle. Um, him and Sting, both my favorite wrestlers of all time. Uh, they this something unfortunately never got to happen. But anyway, I got to see that, which was originally why I went up to Cleveland that year. Then she ended up getting me floor seats, which is where this wristband's from. to SummerSlam that year. Main event that was Solo and Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Back also during the heartbeat, the middle of the CM Punk um, Drew McIntyre feud, which this was Punk's first match back since he got injured at the Royal Rumble back there in 2024, I believe. Yeah. So that's pretty cool experience, pretty fun experience so far. That is the only PLE I've ever been to. I'm so thankful I was able to experience some of that stuff, to be honest. But night one consists of, and there's no match, no order. Although, uh, um, an account on X kind of said that the planned main event for tonight is Oba versus Brock in Hell in a Cell, which honestly shocked me over their having that main event over Punk and Cody. But in my opinion, this shows how much um, they believe in Oba, who is, to be honest, who they're getting ready to strap the rocket to, and uh, let him take the WWE where they want to go. Uh, but anyway, you got Liv versus Io for the Women's World Championship tonight. Then I guess it'll be interesting to see because you had Raquel just win the Intercontinental Championship this past Monday. Uh, so it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Judgment Day. Even the Judgment Day's been around, in my opinion, long enough. It's time probably for that to be done. But EO, she's a fan favorite. People love her. People love Liv Morgan as well. Even though she's technically a heel, um, a bad guy anyway. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. But hmm, um, I don't know. EO's been champion before. Um, Liv is the current champion, but I don't know where you would go if either or win. But I guess technically you can start to, if Liv retains, you can certainly start to plant the distinction in between in the Judgment Day between Liv, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. Um, so with that, I guess in my opinion, that's my way I see it, but you never know where they go. I do think Liv retains here with the help of her Judgment Day peeps. So then you got LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Rose Keys, formerly Powerhouse Hobbs in AEW versus the Usos and Jacob Batu, aka the Bloodline. Um, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. To be honest, you got LA Knight doing something. I know he's a fan favorite. Um, I used to be a big fan of the guy. He's kind of cooled off, in my opinion, with the amount of start stops and that he's honestly gotten. Um, Sometimes he slips up in the ring. I don't know. Maybe they just don't see it. And then Solo Sokoa and it'll be interesting to see where he goes because he turned the bloodline down with Roman reforming the bloodline. Then seeing where I don't know what they do is, and I guess kind of with Solo kind of pointing out, I guess things with the bloodline with the Usos just basically running back to Roman, um, and Jacob basically kind of being forced to join after he lost to Roman in tribal combat this past summer. Uh, like and does he with if Solo, LO Knight, and Keys all win? Does that kind of prove that Solo was right? That they were kind of like dumb to go back to Roman after all that he did to everybody. But what's Royce Keys is me? I think this is his. Definitely this is his first big PLE best first big PLE event in SummerSlam. Uh, it'll be nice to see how he does tonight. And then you got the Usos. I mean, just the Usos are the Usos. And you got Jacob Fatu, who I think is by far the outside of Roman is the best Samoan in the company. This the way that guy can move is pretty incredible for being how big he is. Uh, in this match, um, I do think um, if with LA Knight, if they're going to put um, if they're ever going to pull the trigger on a guy, I think it's now. I think it's tonight. I think they do win, and that had sends LA Knight back up the card to make hopefully be in the LA in the world title picture and maybe get that shot, maybe even hold that title. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But then you got, in my opinion, probably oh top three match of the entire weekend. In my opinion, Gunther versus Nick Aldis is be Nick Aldis's first match in over 1,000 days. Um, it's honestly it's pretty awesome to see him get this opportunity, as I do remember watching him when he was in TNA. Uh, with Rob, I think he was partnering with that Rob Terry guy with the blonde mohawk, big huge muscles. Not a fan of that guy. I just didn't understand it. Honestly, I wasn't even a fan of Nick Aldis, aka Magnus, when he was in TNA. And pretty much, if you go and listen to Nick Aldis's interview with Chris Van Fleet, uh, he pretty much buries the booking of his character in TNA. But Gunther, I think, is the perfect opponent for him. Old school, can honestly put Gunther in the ring with anybody, mate, and he seems to make everybody look good. So I think this is perfect. Hopefully, this goes the way Nick wants it to. But I definitely do not see Nick coming out on top here. I got Gunther winning. Then you got Paige and the Bella Twins versus Fatal Influence, JC Jane, Laney Reed, and Fallon Henley. All three of those ladies, all that group, just got called up into NXT recently, and I do think they go over the veterans. Then we got Punk versus Cody. It'll be interesting to see where this match is on the card. Does it open the show then if they're not the main event? Um, Personally, that's where I want to be if I'm not going to main event. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to see where this goes because they had that pull apart brawl last night in SummerSlam and SmackDown, which is great. But I know Cody's kind of not as popular as he once was with the WWE universe. Still great, probably still as popular as he's ever been with the children, the WWE, the kids that are fans of the product, but not with the I guess adults like people my age. I like Cody, but Punk, like no matter what the dude does, he always seems to be popular. Uh, and with him just becoming champion, although that honestly has never mattered because he just won it from Sami Zayn, who had it 9 days. And when Punk returned in Chicago, but I do think CM Punk wins, and if I guess if I can see Cody maybe getting frustrated and doing something dirty here and coming out on top, and that turns him heel. But I don't see Cody ever turning heel for a long time. So I would not be shocked if Cody retains. But honestly, after if he loses, I don't know what you do with him or where he goes. I don't know if you maybe have someone technically interfere in this match. I don't know. But and then possibly in the main event tonight, Oba versus Brock, the grudge match, Hell in a Cell. This what should be a big, huge, brutal match. Be the third match in this trilogy. Both 1-1. Oba winning at WrestleMania. Night 2, the opening match. And then Brock winning Clash in Italy. Then uh, then it all steps up tonight with especially with Minnesota being the home of SummerSlam this year. Brock is from Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Anyway, uh, and that's where he went to college. Wrestled at Minnesota, the University of Minnesota. But I know there's been talk about him possibly retiring, this being done, he been done here. But I don't see that. Uh, but because this is the grudge match and everything, and Triple H talking about uh, how much Brock sees in Oba as he's talked with him behind the scenes, worked with him. I think Oba does go out on top in this. Basically, blazes his trail straight to becoming world champ. Then night two, you got Penta, current Intercontinental Champion, versus hometown boy Chad Gable. Chad Gable just coming off his incredible work as El Americano, and obviously that hour, I think it was an over an hour match with the other El Grande Americano in AAA. Uh, as that was mask versus mask, and Chad Gable ultimately losing, having to take off the mask, coming back up to the main roster here in America and the WWE, the big company, and then here becoming the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship with Penta. Penta is held, I think he won that title back in March, I think, right before Mania. Um, he's honestly been a good champion, very exciting. Kids love him, obviously, with the face paint and man, Cierro, Mieno, or however you pronounce it. I don't know. But with that, and Chad Gable kind of being hot right now, you want to strike while the iron's hot with the guy. I think Chad Gable becomes your new Intercontinental Champion tonight. Then you got Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill, Chelsea Green, Glass Legend, and Charlotte Flair to become the brand new interim WWE Women's Champion. As Rhea Ripley is the champion, this is something they're taking out of the playbook of UFC, because UFC, when a champion gets hurt, they use crown uh, interim champion until the main champion comes back and they face it and kind of merge those two to find out who is the real champion of the division. So it'll be interesting to see as Rhea is hurt. I don't know exactly how long she's out for, but uh, I know Tiffany. She's honestly lost her luster. Last Legend, up and coming, and Jade. I guess I don't know. My one concern about putting it on Jade, especially these two, her and Rhea just faced off at Mania and they had a good match. But that was Jade's only title defense throughout her entire um, run as women's champion, and I don't think you can do that again. And Charlotte Flair, she just needs one more to become a 16-time world champion. As I know, as she's kind of in the good graces with the WWE universe, with her pairing between her and Alexa Bliss, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Um, would fans be okay with her becoming a champion again? I think they probably would, but in my opinion, there's just so much momentum right now behind Chelsea Green. Fans would love to see her. Me too. She's so entertaining when she's on the screen. I think she wins. Then you have Danhausen versus Dom Mysterio, and he was money is on the pole match, which evidently Danhausen stole from the Judgment Day, which is $100,000. Uh, this is your gimmick match basically, or your fun, your laughing match. I think Danhausen wins. Then you got Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor for the number one contender uh, slot for the WWE Championship. So we will know who they will be facing, which I think will be CM Punk. So I think Finn Balor comes out on top here, which continues to send Sami Zayn down a spiral. Then you get Trick Williams versus the returning Baron Corbin for the U.S. Championship. Trick is a star. I don't think you take the title off him just yet. I think you continue to build him up where he eventually competes for the WWE title. That's why I think Trick wins. Then you get Seth and Roman uh, in the main event at night two for the World Championship, WWE World Championship. the big gold belt, the new version of the big gold belt, basically. Uh, this should be a very, very good, entertaining match. And as Seth has continuously pointed out, he does get the better of Roman when they're one on one. But eventually, I think that changes, especially since pretty much WWE has announced that Roman is sticking through at least through Money in the Bank in New Orleans, and I think Roman comes out on top. But anyway, uh, let me know if you like my predictions. If you didn't, let me know what yours is. Maybe you got some better ideas than I do. I don't know. But anyway, uh, thank you again for joining me. I'm trying to be more consistent, but just be patient with me if I don't get a new episode out when we normally get released. Uh, also, um, I know this past Sunday, at my church, our new pastor started, and he kind of challenged at the end of everybody in the congregation to be more open and share the gospel and their testimony, which is great. It convicted me, convicted my heart. And I know normally here at the end, I just tells you how much Jesus loves you, which he truly does. He did go to the cross for you. So you, if you would so choose to hand your sins over to him, say, Jesus, I am a sinner. I need your will you will you please forgive me? Where you confess your sins to him and ask him to forgive you and confess that he is Lord and Savior of your life and believe that Jesus God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved as it says in Romans 10:9 through 10. Um, that's all true. But sometimes I know we tend to like I know a lot of people tend to like to say, "Yes, I believe in Jesus" and all that stuff, but that's not good enough. Just believing in God, just believing in Jesus is not good enough. You have to completely surrender your life to Him. And yes, that may be scary. That can be a scary thing because you think in my life, because you love certain things in your life. It's just like um, having to let go of certain things. But anything that Jesus, that God would ask you to let go of, um, in my opinion, is something that is only going to bring you harm. And what he's going to replace that with is going to be so much better, so much more life giving, so much more fulfilling in your life, so much more that, so much things that you're going to be want to live for him. It's pretty incredible as he did give ultimately he gave us the greatest gift of all by giving up his life so we may have the ultimate atonement for our sins, which is incredible. So thankful. So if you've ever felt that tug on your heart from Jesus, like I should like whether you've been in church or you've heard someone talk to you about Jesus and what they've done in their lives, he's been life changing in my life. He's honestly given me a wife and a kid. He's given me a job I never would have thought I would have had. Um, and give me a roof over my head and stuff. It's pretty incredible. Um, just so thankful for him. But if you've ever felt that pull, that tug, I would challenge you today to let him in to your heart, to give you a new life, and to wash you clean and make you white as snow. Um, anyway, we will catch you next time on the Lack of Interesting Conversation.